Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the battleship Liberty and watched the enemy ships appear in Earth's sky like dark angels bringing death. The massive crystal vessels hung there silent and terrible, each one bigger than anything humans had ever built. Their surfaces gleamed with an inner light that hurt to look at directly. Jake had spent 40 years in space protecting humanity's colonies, but he had never seen anything like this. The communication systems crackled to life with a voice that sounded like breaking glass mixed with winter wind. The message was simple and cold: surrender now or every human in the galaxy would die. No negotiations, no second chances, just complete surrender or total death. Jake looked around his bridge at the faces of men and women he had served with for decades. He saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. Humans did not surrender easily. Captain Lisa Roberts commanded the evacuation ships near the civilian stations. She had 300 transport vessels under her command, each one packed with families trying to escape. Her job was to get them away from Earth before the shooting started. The alien ships had been silent for 6 hours now, just hanging there like a sword over humanity's throat. Lisa knew that time was running out fast. The first shot came without warning. A beam of pure energy lanced down from the largest alien ship and struck the defense platform orbiting above North America. The platform simply vanished in a flash of light, along with the 10,000 people who worked there. Then the bombardment began in earnest, and Jake realized that humanity was about to face its darkest hour. Commander Ryan Palmer was on Luna Base when the aliens started killing Earth. He watched through the observation windows as beams of light reached down from space and touched the planet below. Wherever they touched, cities disappeared. Millions of people died in seconds as the energy weapons turned everything to molten glass. Ryan had been born on Earth, but now he was watching it die. Jake ordered the Liberty forward along with every other human warship in the solar system. They had missile launchers and laser cannons and nuclear weapons, but none of it seemed to matter. The human weapons hit the crystal ships and simply bounced off like raindrops hitting a mountain. The alien shields absorbed everything humanity could throw at them and asked for more. Lisa worked frantically to coordinate the civilian evacuation as the planet burned below. Her ships were loaded beyond capacity with refugees who had nowhere else to go. Children cried for parents they would never see again, while adults stared in shock at the destruction of their world. The transport ships were slow and vulnerable, but they were all that stood between millions of innocent people and death. The alien ships moved closer to Earth and began landing troops. The soldiers that emerged were not like anything inhuman. Nightmares. They wore armor made of the same crystal as their ships and carried weapons that could cut through tank armor like it was paper. Human ground forces fought bravely, but they were outmatched in every way that mattered. Ryan watched the last defense satellite around Luna Base explode in a ball of fire. The aliens were coming for the moon next, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. He gave the order to evacuate and destroy everything they could not take with them. Humanity would not leave anything useful behind for the enemy to use. Jake made the hardest decision of his military career when he realized that Earth could not be saved. The human fleet was being destroyed piece by piece while the alien ships seemed untouchable. He ordered all remaining ships to retreat to the outer colonies while they still could. Many captains refused to leave Earth behind, but Jake knew that a dead fleet could not protect anyone. The bombardment of Earth continued for 3 days. The aliens did not seem interested in capturing the planet intact. They just wanted every human on it dead. Cities that had stood for centuries became craters of melted rock. Forests burned until nothing remained but ash and blackened soil. The blue skies turned red with smoke and fire. Lisa managed to evacuate 2 million people before the alien fighters came hunting for the transport ships. Her convoy scattered across space trying to reach the jump points that would take them to safety. Many ships did not make it, but Lisa kept her remaining vessels moving toward hope and away from death. When it was over, Earth was a dead world covered in glass and ash. 5 billion humans had called it home, but now it belonged to the aliens. The survivors numbered in the millions rather than billions, and they were scattered across a dozen different star systems with no plan and little hope. Jake's final transmission from Earth orbit was broadcast to every human colony in space. He told them that Earth had fallen, but humanity would survive. Somewhere in the darkness between the stars, humans would gather their strength and plan their return. The aliens had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. 15 years had passed since Earth died, and the survivors still remembered the screams. President Kate Sullivan walked through the tunnels of Haven's Rest, the hidden colony built inside a massive asteroid floating in the darkness between stars. 3 million humans lived here now, scattered across a dozen secret bases that the aliens had not found yet. Kate had been a senator when the war began, but now she led all that remained of humanity's government. The asteroid colony was a maze of metal corridors and recycled air that smelled like machine oil and desperation. Families lived in tiny rooms carved from rock, while children who had never seen a real sky played in artificial gardens under electric suns. Food came from mushroom farms and protein vats, while water was recycled so many times that it tasted like chemicals. Life was hard, but it was still life, and that meant hope. Dr. Alex Turner spent his days in a laboratory built from salvaged equipment and stolen alien technology. He had been working for 15 years to understand how the crystal ships worked and why human weapons could not hurt them. His breakthrough came when he discovered that the alien crystals vibrated at specific frequencies that could be disrupted by quantum energy pulses. It was the first real weakness anyone had found in the enemy's defenses. General Sam Hayes trained soldiers in converted mining tunnels that echoed with the sound of weapons fire and shouted orders. Most of his recruits had never seen Earth, but they all knew the stories of its burning. They trained with whatever weapons could be built or stolen, learning to fight an enemy that seemed impossible to defeat. Sam taught them that impossible was just another word for something that had not been tried yet. Commander Nina Brooks led the raiders who struck at alien supply convoys in the outer systems. Her ships were small and fast, built for stealth rather than heavy combat. They would slip past alien patrols, hit their targets hard and fast, then disappear back into the void before reinforcements could arrive. Every mission brought back supplies, intelligence, and most importantly, proof that the aliens could be hurt. The intelligence they gathered painted a grim picture of the galaxy under alien rule. The Crystal Empire had been conquering worlds for thousands of years, wiping out entire civilizations that refused to submit. Dozens of species had been completely destroyed, while others served as slaves on mining worlds and factory planets. Humanity was just the latest in a long line of victims. Engineer Paul Stevens worked in the asteroid's manufacturing centers, turning scavenged materials into weapons that could actually fight back. His workshops were filled with the sound of hammers and welding torches as human ingenuity slowly transformed desperation into deadly purpose. They could not build ships to match the alien fleet, but they could build weapons that would make the enemy bleed. Diplomat Helen Davis made secret contact with other surviving species who had escaped the alien conquest. The galaxy was full of refugees and resistance movements, all fighting the same enemy, but none strong enough to win alone. Helen worked to build alliances between these scattered groups, knowing that unity was humanity's only chance for revenge. The children born in the asteroid colonies grew up hard and hungry, but they also grew up angry. They listened to stories of Earth's blue skies and green forests with the intensity of warriors preparing for battle. These young humans had never known peace, but they understood war better than any generation before them. They would be the ones to carry humanity's fury back to the stars. Life in the hidden colonies was a constant struggle against despair and resource shortages. People worked 18-hour days just to keep the life support systems running, while others rationed food that barely kept them alive. Mental health was as much a concern as physical survival as humans tried to maintain hope in the face of seemingly impossible odds. Alex's laboratory teams worked around the clock to reverse engineer captured alien technology. Every piece of crystal, armor, or energy weapon brought back by the raiders was carefully studied and dissected. Slowly, painfully, humanity began to understand the science behind their enemy's power. The aliens used quantum field manipulation to strengthen their materials and focus energy in ways that human physics had never imagined. The training programs became more sophisticated as the years passed, and more alien equipment was captured. Soldiers learned to use energy weapons and practiced fighting in the low-gravity environments found on most alien ships. The best fighters were selected for special enhancement programs that pushed human physiology to its absolute limits, NINAs. Raiders brought back more than just equipment and supplies, they brought prisoners. Alien soldiers captured during supply raids were interrogated for information about their empire's structure and weaknesses. Most refused to talk, but some could be convinced to share intelligence in exchange for better treatment. Every scrap of information was precious. The hidden colonies developed their own culture during the long years of exile. Art and music reflected themes of loss and revenge, while children's games involved hunting crystal monsters and liberating imaginary worlds. Hope was kept alive through stories of the day when humanity would return to reclaim what had been taken from them. Kate's government worked to maintain unity among the scattered human settlements while planning for an eventual counterattack. Resources had to be allocated carefully between immediate survival needs and long-term military preparation. Every decision involved weighing the lives of people today against the possibility of victory tomorrow. The 50th anniversary of Earth's fall approached. The hidden colonies had grown stronger despite their hardships. The population was smaller, but it was also harder, more determined, and better equipped to fight. Humanity had learned painful lessons about war and survival. That would serve them well when the time came to strike back at their enemies. The secret training facility on Titan's shadow looked like a military base built in hell. Colonel Matt Johnson walked through corridors lined with soldiers who no longer looked entirely human. The Revenant program had changed them in ways that went beyond simple genetic modification. These warriors had volunteered to become something new, something designed specifically to kill the Crystal Empire's forces. Lieutenant Amy Clark felt the neural implants in her skull humming with electronic activity as she led her squad through the combat simulation. Her enhanced reflexes allowed her to dodge energy blasts that would have killed an ordinary human, while her improved strength let her carry weapons that weighed more than most people. The modifications had cost her some of her humanity, but they had given her the power to protect what remained of it. The simulation chamber filled with holographic enemies that moved and fought exactly like real alien soldiers. Amy's squad moved through them like a force of nature, their enhanced bodies working in perfect coordination through the neural links that connected their minds. They could share thoughts and tactical data instantly, making them far more effective than any normal military unit. Captain Joe Martinez stood on the bridge of the prototype warship Vengeance and marveled at what human determination could accomplish. The ship had been built entirely from reverse-engineered alien technology combined with human innovation. Its hull was made from quantum-hardened metals that could absorb incredible amounts of damage, while its weapons systems channeled pure energy in ways that the Crystal Empire had never seen before. Dr. Carol Lewis worked in the medical bays where the Phoenix Protocol was being perfected. The resurrection technology could rebuild a warrior's body from genetic backup data stored in quantum memory banks. Death was no longer permanent for humanity's elite soldiers, which meant they could take risks that would have been suicidal for normal troops. The Revenant soldiers underwent training that would have killed unmodified humans. They learned to fight in the vacuum of space, to survive direct hits from energy weapons, and to process tactical information at superhuman speeds. Their bones were reinforced with alien metals, while their muscles were enhanced with synthetic fibers that never tired. Matt watched his transformed soldiers practice combat maneuvers that looked more like a deadly dance than military training. They moved through three-dimensional space with grace and precision, using jetpacks and magnetic boots to fight on any surface. The aliens had superior technology, but humanity now had superior soldiers. The weapon development teams worked day and night to create arms that could penetrate alien defenses. plasma rifles that could punch through crystal armor, stealth suits that bent light around the wearer, and neural implants that allowed perfect coordination between squad members. Each new weapon was tested immediately by volunteers who risked their lives to prove that humanity could fight back. Amy led her squad through increasingly difficult scenarios, designed to replicate actual alien combat situations they fought in. Zero gravity in toxic atmospheres and against enemies that outnumbered them 10 to 1. The neural links allowed them to function as a single organism with multiple bodies, sharing thoughts and reactions faster than any conventional communication system. The Phoenix protocol had been tested hundreds of times on volunteers who died in training and were brought back to fight again. The process was not perfect and sometimes failed, but it gave humanity something the aliens had never encountered. Warriors who genuinely did not fear death because they knew it was only temporary. Joe's ship bristled with weapons that combined human creativity with alien science. The main cannon could convert matter directly into energy, while the smaller guns fired coherent plasma that could cut through almost anything. The shields used the same quantum field technology as alien vessels, but had been modified to absorb and redirect energy rather than simply blocking it. The training programs expanded beyond simple combat to include infiltration, sabotage, and psychological warfare. Revenant soldiers learned to think like their enemies while maintaining their human core. They studied alien culture and technology while never forgetting what the Crystal Empire had done to Earth. Carol's medical teams worked to minimize the psychological side effects of the enhancement process. Soldiers who became too machine-like lost the human spark that made them effective fighters. The key was finding the balance between human intuition and mechanical precision that would give them the edge they needed. The first full-scale test of the new technologies came when a small alien patrol ship was detected near the training facility. Matt authorized a live-fire exercise using the Vengeance and a squad of Revenant soldiers. The engagement lasted less than 10 minutes and ended with the complete destruction of the alien vessel. Amy felt a savage satisfaction as her plasma rifle tore through the alien's crystal armor like it was made of paper. The enhanced soldiers moved through the enemy ship with deadly efficiency while their weapons cut down everything in their path. For the first time since Earth's fall, humans had won a clean victory against their enemies. The success of the test mission proved that humanity's new weapons and soldiers could actually fight the Crystal Empire on equal terms. Word spread quickly through the hidden colonies that the aliens were no longer untouchable. Human technology had finally caught up to alien arrogance. Training intensified as more volunteers requested enhancement and conversion to Revenant status. The process was painful and dangerous, but the results spoke for themselves. Humanity was creating a new breed of warriors specifically designed to reclaim what had been stolen from them. The Vengeance completed its shakedown cruise with flying colors, proving that human engineering could now match alien technology. More ships were ordered immediately as the hidden colonies prepared to transition from hiding to hunting. The Crystal Empire had taught humanity about war, but they were about to learn that humans made very dedicated students. 25 years after Earth died, Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his flagship and prepared to announce humanity's return to the galaxy. Operation Lazarus was about to begin with the assault on Proxima Station, a massive alien military hub that controlled 3 conquered star systems. Jake was 73 years old, but life extension technology had kept him sharp and strong. His fleet of 30 human warships hung invisible in hyperspace, waiting for his command to emerge and begin the killing. The target was perfect for humanity's first real strike back at the Crystal Empire. Proxima Station orbited a dead world that the aliens had strip mined for resources after killing its original inhabitants. The station served as a supply depot and command center for alien forces operating in the Outer Rim territories. Intelligence gathered by Nina's raiders indicated that over 50,000 alien soldiers were stationed there along with hundreds of their crystal ships. Captain Lisa Roberts commanded the destroyer Phoenix, one of the new hybrid vessels built from human engineering and alien technology. Her ship was smaller than the old human battleships, but far more deadly. The plasma cannons could punch through crystal armor, while the quantum shields could absorb and redirect enemy fire. Lisa had waited 25 years for this moment, and she intended to make it count. The Zephyrians had grown comfortable in their domination of the galaxy. They believed humanity was extinct and posed no threat to their empire. Their patrol routes had become predictable, and their defenses had grown lazy. It was a mistake they would pay for with their lives. Jake gave the order, and 30 human warships materialized out of hyperspace in perfect attack formation. The alien sensors detected them immediately, but the defenders had no time to react before the human weapons opened fire. Plasma beams and quantum torpedoes struck the orbital platforms with devastating effect, tearing through shields that had been designed to stop conventional weapons. Commander Ryan Palmer led the assault on the station's docking bays, where dozens of alien ships were being refueled and resupplied. His team of revenant soldiers moved through the enemy vessels like death itself, their enhanced bodies shrugging off energy weapon hits while their own guns cut down everything in their path. The aliens had never faced opponents who could match their physical capabilities. The battle for Proxima Station was one-sided from the beginning. Human weapons that the aliens could not understand struck targets they could not defend while enhanced. Soldiers fought with capabilities that seemed impossible. The Crystal Warriors, who had conquered dozens of civilizations, found themselves outmatched by beings they had believed inferior. Lisa's destroyer engaged 3 alien cruisers that tried to form a defensive line around the station's command center. The Phoenix danced between their energy beams while its own weapons systematically destroyed their shields and armor. The alien ships had been built to intimidate primitive species, but they were no match for human determination backed by superior technology. The orbital defense platforms that had protected Proxima Station for decades crumbled under the human assault. Each platform had enough firepower to destroy a small fleet, but their weapons could not lock onto targets that moved with impossible speed and precision. Human pilots enhanced with neural implants flew their ships like extensions of their own bodies. Ryan's boarding party fought their way through the station's corridors toward the command center, where alien officers were frantically trying to coordinate a defense. The revenant soldiers moved in perfect coordination, their shared neural links allowing them to anticipate each other's actions and respond to threats before they fully developed. The aliens had numbers, but humans had unity. The alien prisoners liberated from the station's detention centers told stories that made even hardened soldiers sick with rage. Humans who had been captured during the early years of the war had been kept alive for medical experiments and psychological torture. The Crystal Empire had studied human physiology and psychology by cutting apart living subjects and recording their responses to various forms of pain. Jake watched the tactical displays as his fleet systematically destroyed every alien ship and installation in the system. The enemy had sent distress calls, but their nearest reinforcements were days away. By the time help arrived, there would be nothing left but wreckage and the message that humanity had written in fire across the stars. The command center fell when Ryan's team cut through the final defensive positions and reached the alien officers who had been directing the station's operations. The crystal beings tried to destroy their computer systems rather than let them fall into human hands, but the revenant soldiers were too fast. Massive amounts of intelligence data were captured intact. The rescued human prisoners were in terrible condition after years of alien experimentation, but they were alive and they were free. Medical teams worked frantically to stabilize the worst cases, while others provided testimony about the locations of additional prison facilities and research centers. Every piece of information was another target for future operations. Lisa's ship led the final assault on the station's power core, a massive crystal formation that provided energy for the entire facility. Destroying it would eliminate any chance of the aliens rebuilding their position in this system. The Phoenix's main cannon charged to full power and fired a concentrated plasma beam that turned the crystal core into expanding gas and debris. The battle ended with the complete destruction of Proxima Station and every alien ship that had been defending it. Not a single enemy vessel escaped to carry word of humanity's new capabilities to their superiors. The first strike of humanity's revenge had been a perfect success. Jake's fleet jumped back to hyperspace carrying captured intelligence that would guide future operations. The data revealed the locations of other alien facilities, the structure of their command hierarchy, and most importantly, the coordinates of worlds where humans were still being held prisoner. The war was far from over, but humanity had just proven they could win it. News of humanity's victory at Proxima Station spread through the hidden colonies like wildfire, igniting hope that had been carefully guarded for decades. Admiral Jake Morrison launched a series of coordinated strikes across alien space, each one designed to free human prisoners and gather intelligence for the final assault on the Crystal Empire's heart. The liberation campaign had begun, and there would be no stopping until every human slave was free. General Sam Hayes led the ground. Assault on New Geneva, a former human colony world where survivors had endured 30 years of brutal slavery. His enhanced soldiers dropped from orbit in stealth pods, while the alien defenders were distracted by a naval battle in the outer system. The revenants moved through the slave camps like avenging angels, their weapons cutting down alien guards who had tortured humans for decades. The liberated colonists could barely believe their eyes when they saw human soldiers again. Children who had been born into slavery stared in wonder at the enhanced warriors who fought with impossible skill and courage. Adults who had given up hope of ever seeing freedom again wept openly as their chains were literally and figuratively broken by their own species. Captain Joe Martinez commanded a growing fleet of hybrid warships that struck fast and disappeared before alien reinforcements could respond. His ships had learned to fight like wolves, attacking in coordinated packs that overwhelmed individual targets before melting back into the void. The aliens found themselves fighting shadows that struck without warning and vanished without trace. Dr. Alex Turner's laboratories worked around the clock to develop new weapons and defenses based on captured alien technology. His greatest creation was the Hellfire Cannon, a weapon that could convert matter directly into energy and crack a planet's surface with a single shot. President Kate Sullivan authorized its construction despite the moral implications. Knowing that humanity needed every possible advantage, the campaign reached across dozens of star systems, as human forces struck at alien facilities with surgical precision. Each victory freed more prisoners and captured more intelligence, while demonstrating to the galaxy that the Crystal Empire was not invincible. Other oppressed species began to hope that liberation might be possible after all. Commander Nina Brooks led raids against alien supply convoys that kept their occupation forces equipped and fed. Her ships had grown from a handful of desperate raiders into a fleet of invisible predators that could strike anywhere in alien space. Every destroyed convoy weakened the enemy's ability to maintain control over their conquered territories. The Battle of Titan's Gate became the defining moment of the liberation campaign when a massive alien fleet attempted to crush the human rebellion once and for all. Over 200 crystal ships converged on the system where humanity had established a forward base, intending to wipe out the upstart species before they could become a real threat. Nina found herself commanding the desperate defense when the alien fleet arrived earlier than expected. Her ships were outnumbered 4-1, but they had advantages the enemy did not understand. Human pilots enhanced with neural implants could react faster than any organic being, while their weapons had been specifically designed to penetrate crystal armor. The battle raged across the entire star system as human and alien fleets clashed in the largest space engagement since Earth's fall. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light while fighters dueled between the larger vessels in deadly games of speed and skill. The aliens had numerical superiority, but humans had better technology and unlimited determination. Sam's ground forces fought to hold the base's defensive positions while the space battle continued overhead. Alien landing craft tried to establish beachheads on the asteroid installations, but they were met by revenant soldiers who fought with the fury of beings who had nothing left to lose. Every defensive position became a killing ground where crystal warriors died in waves. The tide of battle turned when human reinforcements arrived from 3 different directions, catching the alien fleet in a devastating crossfire. Ships that had been built to intimidate primitive species found themselves outgunned by vessels that combined human engineering with stolen alien science. The Crystal Empire's myth of invincibility shattered along with their battle line, Joe's flagship lead. The final assault that broke the alien formation and sent their surviving ships fleeing in panic. The humans pursued relentlessly, destroying stragglers and making sure that word of their defeat would spread throughout the galaxy. The Crystal Empire had just learned that humanity was no longer prey. The intelligence gathered during the liberation campaign revealed the true scope of the alien empire and the location of their homeworld. Zephyr Prime sat at the center of a network of conquered systems, protected by the largest fleet in the galaxy and defended by warriors who had never known defeat. It would be the ultimate test of everything humanity had learned: liberated humans from dozens of worlds joined the growing fleet as volunteers and crew members. They brought knowledge of alien tactics and weaknesses along with an unquenchable thirst for revenge against their former captors. The human fleet was no longer just fighting for survival, it was fighting for justice. The captured alien officers revealed under interrogation that their empire had been surprised by humanity's rapid technological advancement. The crystal beings had expected any survivors to remain primitive and helpless for centuries. Instead, they found themselves facing enemies who had turned suffering into strength and desperation into deadly purpose. Dr. Carol Lewis expanded the Phoenix Protocol to handle the massive casualties expected in the final assault on the alien homeworld. Resurrection technology would allow humanity's warriors to fight with absolute fearlessness, knowing that death was only a temporary inconvenience. The aliens would face opponents who could not be intimidated or demoralized. As the liberation campaign neared its end, human forces had freed over 50 million prisoners and destroyed hundreds of alien installations. The Crystal Empire's grip on the outer systems had been broken, and their fleet had been reduced by nearly half. The time had come for the final reckoning at Zephyr Prime. The final assault on Zephyr Prime began when humanity's entire surviving fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation around the alien homeworld. Admiral Jake Morrison's flagship Terra Reborn led over 500 warships crewed by humans, who had spent 30 years preparing for this moment. The Crystal Empire's capital system was the most heavily defended location in the galaxy, but humanity had come to end their reign of terror forever. The Zephyrian home fleet was massive beyond imagination, their crystal ships forming defensive patterns that stretched across the entire star system. Millions of alien warriors manned battle stations while their energy weapons charged to full power. They had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years and would not surrender their dominion without the greatest battle in galactic history. Captain Joe Martinez commanded the destroyer Phoenix as it led the first wave of human ships against the alien defense lines. His vessel had been upgraded with the most advanced weapons humanity could build, including a prototype Hellfire cannon that could crack a moon in half. The ship's crew was a mix of original survivors and liberated prisoners who had volunteered to risk everything for freedom. The battle began with a massive exchange of fire that lit up the void between the planets. Human plasma beams met alien energy weapons in spectacular explosions, while fighters from both sides engaged in deadly dogfights between the larger vessels. The aliens had numbers, but humans had 40 years of accumulated rage and the technology to express it effectively. General Amy Clark led the assault on the Zephyrian capital ship, a crystal palace the size of a small moon that housed the Empire's ruling council. Her revenant soldiers launched from boarding pods that penetrated the enemy vessel's shields. Through sheer speed and determination, the enhanced warriors moved through alien corridors like unstoppable forces of nature. The alien defenders fought with desperate courage as they realized their empire was actually in danger of falling. Crystal warriors who had conquered dozens of civilizations found themselves being systematically destroyed by beings they had once considered inferior. Human soldiers enhanced beyond normal limits proved more than a match for any alien champion. Commander Ryan Palmer led the assault on the orbital shipyards where the enemy fleet was being repaired and resupplied. His ships struck with surgical precision, destroying critical facilities while avoiding collateral damage to human prisoners, who were being held in nearby detention centers. Every freed captive became another reason to continue fighting. The space battle raged for hours as ships on both sides exploded in brilliant flashes of light and superheated gas. The aliens threw everything they had at the human fleet but found their enemies impossible to stop or discourage. Human pilots enhanced with neural implants flew their ships, like extensions of their own bodies, while resurrection technology ensured that death was only a temporary setback. Amy's soldiers fought their way through the capital ship's defenses toward the throne room where the Zephyrian Emperor held court. The alien ruler was a being of pure energy contained within crystal armor, who had personally ordered Earth's destruction 3 decades earlier. He would answer for that crime before humanity was finished with him. Dr. Alex Turner's Hellfire cannons proved devastatingly effective against the crystal ships that had once seemed invincible. The weapons converted matter directly into energy, creating beams that could penetrate any known defense. Alien vessels that had ruled the galaxy for millennia were reduced to expanding clouds of superheated plasma. The tide of battle turned decisively when human reinforcements arrived from the liberated outer systems. Ships crewed by former slaves and prisoners struck the alien fleet from unexpected directions, while their crews fought with the fury of beings who had suffered unimaginable torment. The Crystal Empire's defensive formations crumbled under the multi-directional assault. Joe's destroyer engaged the Emperor's personal dreadnought in single combat while the larger battle continued around them. The alien ship was armed with weapons that could destroy entire fleets, but the Phoenix danced between the energy beams, while its own guns systematically destroyed the enemy's shields and armor. Human engineering had finally surpassed alien arrogance. Amy reached the throne room after fighting through hundreds of crystal guards who died trying to protect their ruler. The Emperor stood waiting for her in his crystalline armor, surrounded by the preserved heads of alien leaders who had refused to surrender to his empire. The chamber was a monument to conquest and genocide that would soon become a tomb. The final duel was personal in a way that transcended species and politics. Amy faced the being responsible for humanity's greatest tragedy while carrying the hopes of every human who had ever lived. Her quantum blade met the Emperor's energy weapon in a clash that lit up the throne room with deadly radiance. The crystal armor that had protected the Emperor for millennia proved no match for human determination backed by superior technology. Amy's blade pierced his crystalline heart, while she spoke words that echoed across the galaxy through every communication system on both sides. This was for Earth, for everyone the aliens had killed, and for humanity's right to exist in freedom. The Emperor's death sent shock waves through the alien fleet as their command structure collapsed. Ships that had fought with fanatic determination suddenly found themselves leaderless and confused. The Crystal Empire that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years died with its ruler in a throne room filled with the evidence of his crimes. Human forces swept through the Zephyrian capital system like a cleansing fire, destroying military installations while sparing civilian populations. The aliens who surrendered were treated according to the laws of war, while those who continued fighting were eliminated without mercy. Humanity had learned the difference between justice and revenge. Admiral Morrison's final transmission was broadcast to every corner of the galaxy as human ships prepared to jump to hyperspace. The message was simple and clear. Humanity had risen from the ashes of their homeworld and struck back at those who had tried to destroy them. The galaxy now knew that genocide had consequences and that some species refused to die quietly. The first ships to return to Earth's orbit found a dead world covered in glass and ash where 5 billion people had once lived. But humanity had survived and grown stronger through suffering, and now they had the power to ensure that no other species would suffer the same fate. The work of rebuilding could begin, but the memory of Earth's fall would never be forgotten.